Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'd like to welcome you to my first ever video for Broadway in Detroit. I came away from Moulin Rouge the musical with a lot of thoughts. So many thoughts. Too many thoughts. If you're just finding my channel, hi everyone, I'm Sarah Roberts, better known throughout the interwebs as the Hype Goblin. And if you're wondering why someone who primarily covers tabletop role-playing games is covering the national tour of a Tony Award-winning musical, well, it's because I have many special interests, and theater has been a very important part of my life for over 10 years. That's a long time in hindsight. In that time, I wore a lot of hats as a performer to a director, even working sound and lighting. A lot of things that I learned in that time directly correlates to my work now, either in my own content or as the producer and game master for Luck and Chaos, the podcast. And if actual plays aren't your thing and you're interested in checking out my own acting abilities, I'd like to invite you to check out today's shameless plug of the video. The Long Rest audio drama. They're not sponsoring this, but I am a part of it, and I just want to tell people about it. The Long Rest is a grim, dark fantasy audio drama which is preparing to crowdfund the first 8 episodes of Season 1 via Kickstarter. In the show, I play one of the 6 lead characters, Lyra Wilton, a young woman whose ties to a supernatural force, shall we say, have some complicated consequences for her traveling companions. The teaser trailer is out now. You can check it out at the link in the description and click the notify me on launch button or box. The notify me on launch thing, it's right there. And that way you won't miss the early bird backer specials. And before I spill the beans on the entire plot, babbling along, let's get back to the review. Now, I saw the show opening night, but it will be in Detroit from now until October 6th. And if at all possible, I do think this is one everyone should see at least once. There's a reason it won 10 Tony Awards, including Best Musical. It was a really fun time. However, if you go into the stage show thinking it's going to be a one-to-one adaptation of its cinematic counterpart, you're probably going to leave bummed out that your favorite song medley was altered or a scene was cut entirely from the show, which almost happened to me. From a visual standpoint, the show is absolutely stunning. The costuming and set design, choreography, sound design, lighting are some of the best examples of what musicals are capable of achieving, in my opinion. The show does a beautiful job of translating most of the costumes from the source material to the stage production, refreshing some iconic moments like Satine's trapeze outfit. We still get that iconic sparkle and top hat moment, but in a way that reads a little less disco ball and far more theatrical. My guess is that unlike its crystal-covered counterpart in the movie, the one that they use for the stage production is easier to maintain and travel with. If you go to see the show, there's also a really stunning quick change for Satine during her opening number that has several phases. First of shedding the initial outfit, and then cast members later quickly applying jewelry to the actress during the dance number. There's a great interview with Catherine Zuber where she actually shows how the garment is constructed. And it's so cool. It's beautiful how it was constructed to accommodate the quick change, but not take away from the overall look of the outfit. I'll link it below in the description if you want to check that out. It's good. There were also costuming choices that did read more modern showgirl. I think the Lady M's are the clearest example of this that I can get documentation for. Those headpieces, though, are just, they are just chef's kiss. For certain parts of the story, I think it would have been nice to see more of the can-can style dress costume. If I'm remembering correctly, the Lady M's were primarily in these outfits, minus the headpieces for the majority of the show. But, I mean, that's just my personal preference. I thought the 4 can-can dancer outfits were just absolutely stunning, and I just wanted to see more of them. The set and lighting is probably some of the best work I've seen in a theatrical production to date. This even topped Wicked's sets and lighting for me, and that show is also very stunning. Everything from stage curtains to the forced perspectives of city streets were just immaculately done. It's so hard to translate a film to stage, especially with a touring production that has limitations on what it can take with it on the road. But it's very clear the level of detail and planning that went into this was considered for the full translation. The lighting design beautifully supported the set choices in what is probably some of the best technical design work I have ever encountered, period, hands down. There's this one scene in particular. It's during the Tango Roxanne, where Christian is singing at the front of the stage, highlighted by a very concentrated spotlight, while the rest of the ensemble is doing a version of the tango around him, similar to the movie. And they're all bathed in like this beautiful dim red light. And behind all of them is Satine slowly walking across the stage towards the Duke of Monmouth. And the two of them are also in this like very soft but concentrated spotlight effect before Satine is yanked off the stage by the Duke. It was such a beautiful way to represent that moment in the movie, which was rather violent and hard to watch, but it worked so well and it got the message across so clearly. It was fantastic. And it's all the technical aspects meant to support the story being executed so beautifully that it pains me to say that the music chosen for the show and the story of the stage production itself are, in my opinion, its weakest points. God, it pains me to talk about this portion because there's so much that does not work to serve the production. And I don't think you even need to have seen the movie to understand some of the issues that the plot has. It drives me crazy. Let's go with the music first because I have way too much to say about the changes to the plot. Now, the show won multiple awards for its orchestrations, and objectively, on their own, yeah, the arrangements are well done and beautifully arranged. The problem, though, for me is that there are so many new songs that were shoehorned into the show that you kind of end up with auditory whiplash with how fast they come at you in certain songs. So many have been unnecessarily crammed into the show. In fact, that it now runs 35 minutes longer than the film, not including the 15-minute intermission. So, yeah, it's a long show. Still worth it, though, in my opinion. You can hear an example of it on the Broadway cast recording if you listen to the updated version of the iconic Elephant Love Medley, one of my favorite numbers from the original show.
Love is a many splendid thing, love. Lift us up where we belong. All you need is love.
The movie blended 10 songs, and now the Broadway version has nearly double at 19 songs. And it extends the song by an extra minute, which would be fine if they didn't also genre hop between the songs, which comes at you rapid fire like they're meant to be dialogue, which honestly, I could have done with a bit more dialogue and a few less unnecessary solos or songs just crammed in there. Wild to say about a musical. I know. I can't believe I just said that about a musical. To understand why the musical choices of the movie worked where these stage productions don't flow quite as well, you have to understand a niche style of storytelling. The reason the modern songs in the movie worked is the same reason that modern songs work in a vaguely period piece like Bridgerton. Putting a modern song the audience will know in a period piece helps provide important context to the scene and helps the audience better connect with the events going on and in a time period that they cannot experience firsthand. This is a very meta concept when it comes to storytelling, and I could probably do an entire video on just that concept, but this is the most simple way I can explain it. And it's very clear this is the same concept the musical was trying to expand on, but much of the time, the songs that were chosen felt like they were just chosen just so they could be put in the show and not because they added any necessary context for the audience. And to that, a bunch of songs fans from the movie will expect to be in the show were removed to make way for these new additions. And you know what? Bold move, but I don't think it was the right one. By the time we hit the intermission, there were people around us disappointedly talking about the songs being different. And one of my colleagues was also there that night on the opposite side of the theater from me and said that the three women behind him were talking about leaving because the show was so different. He said they were literally saying, "This isn't like the movie, should we leave?" Which is kind of sad. The problem to me wasn't just with the musical choices, though they were quite jarring, but the changes made to the story itself. This is really hard to discuss without writing a 5,000 word in-depth analysis, which I did start doing and had to stop, rewrite, and start over. But it felt like whoever reworked the story either didn't fully understand the artistic ideals that were relevant in Paris in the year 1900, or they didn't think the audience would be smart enough to understand the nuances of the story where Satine and the other characters were. Satine's character, her story is very much tied to her job as a sex worker and societal expectations for women in Paris in 1900 and the classism of the time. Ultimately, the changes to her character and her motivation left me feeling like she loved the Moulin Rouge more than Christian. Their love story just didn't make sense anymore when you're examining her character motivations and his at certain points. I can talk further on it, but I feel like I would spoil the show if I went too in depth. So I don't know. Maybe I'll release that in-depth analysis to Patreon one day. If you're interested in hearing that, let me know down below, and I don't know. Maybe I'll dedicate some time to that. This isn't spoiler territory, but also from what I've seen from the various casting choices as well as the production I saw, the Duke is being cast way too young. The older white aristocrat versus younger lower class woman dynamic is also something that's kind of important to the story and characterizing for both Satine and her position in society as well as the Duke. And I don't know. He serves wealthy frat boy more than wealthy aristocrat. Like I don't know. He was great. The actor who played him was great. I'm sure the other ones have been fantastic as well. It threw the story off kilter for me, for him to be young and attractive. It didn't work. Speaking of the Duke and Satine, I'm sorry, I have to spoil this point in order for the next ones to make sense. So if you're against spoilers for a show that's been out on Broadway for 5 years, skip to whatever timestamp I put on the screen here. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Why the hell do they have Satine hooking up with the Duke the same night that she meets him? The same night that she meets Christian? This is the one change that alters so much of the plot. It completely changes Satine's motivation, makes the Duke, who's supposed to be the obvious villain of the story, look like a sympathetic character, and it makes Christian look like a whiny man-child in the second act when he can no longer contain his jealousy over Satine and the Duke in a relationship that has been going on the entire time he has been with Satine. In the movie, when Satine convinces the Duke that they must wait to sleep together until the opening night of the show he's about to fund, it's 1, to bait him into funding the show, and 2, to set up the major conflict between Satine and Christian in their relationship. There was also some unfortunate choices made in revealing Satine's illness that drastically changed the story of the doomed romance. Again, mild spoilers, but if you've seen the movie, you know what's going to happen eventually, so it is what it is. The part of the tragedy of the story is that we know as the audience from the start that Satine is going to die. At the time in which Moulin Rouge is set, tuberculosis, then called consumption, was a very common infection. It greatly affected people living in rapidly expanding cities where sanitation was poor, but was easily transmittable. So it wasn't just the lower class that was affected, like Satine. Upper class citizens weren't safe from it either. Eventually, the disease took on this romantic quality in popular culture, as it was common amongst artists, writers, musicians, and the people around them in which they found their inspiration. The version of Satine's illness and death the film gives us is through the eyes of Christian. He's the movie's narrator, essentially, and he's an artist. Satine's death isn't just about her passing. It's portrayed as a symbolic death of the revolution Christian and his friends dream of. Satine's death transforms her into a symbol of neglected victims of economic disparity and how the unjust requirements of society will eventually claim their lives. The two characters viewing their love affair as something that is pure and good, as well as the threat of Satine's pure love where sleeping with the Duke is concerned, feeds into the complexity surrounding the narrative of Satine's death. The death of the long-suffering heroine isn't a new trope, but it's indicative of a time in which death by consumption was viewed as a redemption for the deceased for the mistakes of the past. And with Satine's place in society in that time, she would have been considered now purified and redeemed in her death. So it's important to the plot, is what I'm saying. In my opinion, the stage production takes far too long to reveal the severity of Satine's condition. During her introductory medley, she paused momentarily as if trying to catch her breath. And when one of the other dancers runs to ask her if she's okay, if she can continue, she brushes her off and goes back to finish the routine. I think it's the character Nini that rushes in and checks on her. I can't remember for sure. She has a few lines throughout the first half, like, "You all know I haven't been feeling well," but it takes a while until she begins coughing up blood. I think it was like halfway into the second act. And as the illness progresses, it's finally revealed by Satine being the one to go to a doctor for diagnosis, not Ziegler like in the movie. I think this was an attempt to display Satine as a character with more agency, but it's another plot change that had me scratching my head because it took away from so many other more plot points within the film that were important to it. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved the theatrical version of Satine that we got to see. She has a lot more personality than in the movie, in my opinion. But when it comes to the portrayal of her illness, coupled with the loss of the "I won't sleep with the Duke until opening night of the show" plotline, the story loses something that I think is integral to making the character work within the context of the story. I spoke with a colleague who was able to go back and see the show, and according to them, Ariana Rosario, who took over the role of Satine, has drastically changed the vibe of the show, which I saw a few nights previously. Yeah, you heard right. In the very first town on the North American tour, one of the lead actors for the show was changed. Now, this could have been done for a variety of reasons. And when I looked into it further, it turned out that a handful of the ensemble members were also being changed. And as it turns out, the ensemble members were being moved to the Broadway production. So they might have just been a placeholder in the tour. I don't know, maybe due to scheduling issues or something. I'm not sure. I know that the woman who was playing Satine previously is not moving to Broadway. So I don't know. I don't know the reason for that change. And it makes me kind of bummed that I'm reviewing the show that people won't be seeing from here on out. It kind of sucks that everyone from here on out on the North American tour are going to get a different cast, and I didn't get to review them. But then again, none of my issues with the show have to do with the cast. It has everything to do with, story choices. Oh, it's so hard not to go further into those. I don't know. Maybe no one will care about the plot changes, but to me, it was really sad to see such sweeping changes made that really didn't need to be made. Granted, there were some that did need to be made, in my opinion, and I was really happy to see some of the other changes implemented in the show. The production is significantly more diverse compared to the majority white-led cast of the film, from the expansion of characters already known to newly named characters scattered throughout the ensemble. We get a wide range of voices and identities represented in the cast, and that made me really happy to see. And I would like to heavily applaud the show for the removal of the what I consider to be massive amounts of cultural appropriation displayed in the film. In fact, the entire ending sequence has been rewritten to include a new play within a play, and in that, the woman Satine is portraying is being coerced by a straight razor wielding gangster played by Ziegler, rather than Ziegler portraying an evil Indian Maharaja like in the film. I much appreciated that change. In the production, the characters are rehearsing. It's overall a significantly more somber tone, which I didn't care for. I think it was an attempt to give a nod to La Boheme or La Traviata, to operas who heavily inspired the original story, but I think overall it was a much needed change. I don't know. I wish that it had been altered to have just one more little razzle dazzle costuming number with Satine. I like the sparkle, and I wanted some more sparkly outfits before Satine met her end at the end. Yeah. So those are my thoughts. I have a lot more, but I think I'll keep them to myself until I have the opportunity to see the show again one day. Originally, I started writing this analysis of the movie and the stage production, but it ended up feeling really unfair when I only had my memory to rely on. I don't know. If I can get my hands on a copy of the script one day, maybe I'll finish that analysis I started and talk about the show again. Until that, though, I do think it was a really fun way to spend an evening, and I'd like to see it again in the future. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching till the end. Next week on Wednesday, I will be attending Some Like It Hot, a musical based off of one of my favorite Marilyn Monroe movies. So if you enjoyed this, keep an eye out for that to come up in your feed sometime next week. And don't forget to check out the Kickstarter linked in the description. I am looking forward to sharing more about this voice acting journey with you all in the future. And until the next one, take care and have a lovely night. I'll see y'all in the next video.